to everybody. Welcome to Elephant in the Room, part of Disrupt the Media. And hey, man, welcome to Roll Tide Pods. Make sure you like and subscribe. Get in the comments section and hang out with us here. And I know there's a lot to talk about, and I know that there's a lot of people that are disappointed right now. But we're going to get into that. Still a fantastic season. But before we do anything else, we really appreciate the people at MyBookie, mybookie.ag, up to 110% price match right now when you make your initial wager. It's a great time of year. All season long, I've been in a slump. And then the bowl season hit. And I'm as hot as a firecracker right now. And look, when you can roll out 32 wins and 10 losses in the bowl games, woo! So it's time for me to hit my bookie. You guys do the same thing as well. He's Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. Look, man, we got so much to get into. Man, that was such a tough loss.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of a depressing episode.
Well, come on. We can't do that to the folks. But you know what? It has been. I mean, I got to tell you, it did feel like a funeral over here until I watched the new Chappelle show special on Netflix. And I'm kind of starting to find myself.
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Coming back a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Well, that, and I'm taking some time off from my best friend. Yeah, you know who that is?
Well, you better be careful. You're going to lose that pool. You're going to throw out a loser on Monday.
Yeah, no, well, look, I already did that. I did that before I took off drinking for a little while. And that is, I'm taking Michigan. I mean, I handicapped that Washington game, man. I'm telling you, I had that one pinned, man.
Well, Washington's been a 4-point underdog all year, and they've covered every time.
I know.
It's almost like, I mean, the public just has not bought into Washington. They're probably going to win Monday.
I don't think so, but but what I will tell you is the matchup. What I loved about it is it reminded me of the Oklahoma game because I thought the matchup was good for them. They got a really hefty, strong offensive line. Michael Penix, great quarterback.
Yeah.
Wanted to go to Tennessee. And then all the coaching changes, he ends up at Indiana. And then,
Can you imagine what he'd have done at Tennessee?
I know. It'd have been great, right?
I've told you before the show started, I was done with football on, Monday night after we lost. So I didn't even watch. I probably watched 5 plays of that game.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you.
Highlights looked like Penix played well, but I was done with football after that.
Well, you missed a lot of offense. Quinn Ewers got hurt, I think, just my opinion, stayed in the game because the backup transferred. And so it was like Arch Manning was like their backup, and there was no way they were going to put him in.
Yeah.
And it ended up coming down to the end. Washington kind of got a 10-point lead or something, and then Texas got back in it, and then they had the ball at like the 15-yard line and ran out of time, or 10 or something. But it was exactly the game that I thought. And I'm like, hey, even if Texas wins, I'm covering. Now, in that pick 'em that I'm doing, I would have lost. But so I wasn't surprised by that. But I was surprised, like getting into the Alabama game, and you and I have talked about this all year long. And I know that I know the guy that feels the worst about the bad snaps is Seth McLaughlin. I know that, man.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there. I've played on teams where I've made mistakes in games and come home and had to think about it, and it sucks, right? But it's still what happened. Those snaps, every time it would be like bad snap, false start on someone else, not him.
Missed time snap.
Yeah, right. Missed time snap, right.
There's no visual cue to snap it. You got to go based on what you hear, and that's going to happen when you do that.
How come you didn't have problems like that? Now, first off, you had a great center. Mm-hmm. Right? It was Ryan Kelly, right?
There's like 3 that I remember, and they were really pretty much my fault where they were bobbled, Mm-hmm. Everything hit me in the face. I mean,
that's where you wanted it.
I don't ever remember, a bad snap that cost us. Nothing went over my head or through my legs.
You weren't running backwards to snag a damn snap that's over your head. We see that every game.
Yeah.
I mean, every big game it happens. So just when does
Well, we've talked about it on the show. I mean, and when you have that kind of issue, and I mean, I'll be honest, I thought it would have been fixed by now. I thought, at this point in the season, he'd have gotten it right. But we've said it. You can't beat elite teams when you make mistakes like that.
Yeah.
False start. I mean, Coach Saban, I don't know if you saw it. They've zoomed in on his face. He's like, man, we're stopping ourselves.
I saw that. Yeah.
And that's what it was. I mean, to me, we're a more athletic team. Michigan gets the most out of their players.
Yeah.
They get
veterans though.
Yeah. They get the absolute most out of their players. We're young on offense. We've got an elite secondary. I thought the defense played about as well as they could. There were some mistakes and a lot of those slide routes, underneath behind the line. Those were really hard to defend, especially when you're playing man coverage. I mean, it's kind of like a pick route, but you're using the entire offensive line.
Right.
And those are hard to defend. And again, I think we did a hell of a job on defense, put them on the field a lot, especially in the first half. But offensively, I think Coach Saban and our offensive coordinator got the most out of our players, did everything they could to put them in the right spots. But again, the false starts, the fumbled snaps. To me, Jalen Milroe drives that offense.
Yeah.
If he's not playing at elite level, especially running the ball, and I'll be honest, I mean, look, Jalen Milroe, he can throw the ball. I've said it all year long. But what gives Alabama this year the ability to beat anybody is when he runs the ball and he's dynamic running the ball and he's running physically, not sliding, not holding up, before he makes contact. I mean, there are several plays there where I was just thinking, man, you got to do everything you can in a game like this to get first downs. And
right.
And I don't know, the LSU game, I mean, that guy was running just like a bat out of hell.
He reminded me of Forrest Gump.
Run!
It's on. It's faster.
But I mean,
I'm just kidding.
The guy,
he was faster than Forrest Gump.
But you know what I mean? That physicality, that aggressiveness, looking for it. I mean, I love that he takes his drop and he tries to find the open guy, but where he just kills people is breaking contain and getting first downs on the ground.
Yeah. And
that's where he's a game breaker. You just didn't feel like you saw that on Monday. And I just, again, for us to beat anybody, the Michigans out there, we got to have that dynamic game breaker on offense. And when I say that, Jalen's got to play up to the Jalen standard. And it's more of a compliment to him than it is a knock. But, got to have that LSU type run style.
He reminds me of old Tennessee quarterback T. Martin, who's actually from down in, we're in Fairhope, you live in Mobile. He's a South Alabama guy. He went to Tennessee. But the difference is that T. Martin knew when to run. You know what I'm saying? And could get there, knew where the sticks were.
Yeah.
And I felt like sometimes this year, Jalen just didn't have that same feel, and he'll develop that. I mean, he is young too, he's only a sophomore, but the offensive line didn't do a whole lot to help him. I mean, and I felt like Alabama should have ran the ball more. I wanted them to run on first down and then maybe kind of go the opposite way than they did, like run to set up the pass.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it just didn't happen.
When I say that about Jalen, I mean, again, if he doesn't play well, we don't win.
Yeah, right.
And when we play the big teams, if he doesn't play exceptionally well, we're not winning. I don't think he had, I love this team. I know those guys are just dying on the inside right now.
Yeah.
But Jalen, this is a very young team. I don't think on the outside yet there's a guy that was on that field like Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy yet. I mean, you just didn't see that game breaker on the outside that was going to get open or demand a lot of coverage on the back end. And I think we'll get there. But we're just a young team that hadn't quite figured it out yet. And you kind of, like we said, you kind of knew the mistakes, if they weren't fixed, were going to cost us in a big game. They almost cost us against Georgia, and it finally caught up to us Monday night.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I mean, with everything that went wrong, though, still had the lead with 3 minutes left.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it came down to the play on defense with all this, talking about the snaps and everything. But on defense, it's 4th and 1 and no one covers Blake Corum. I mean, how does that happen? And then after that, it just felt like that play changed the momentum of the entire end of the 4th quarter and overtime.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, when we didn't, like we were talking about before, you just felt like when we didn't get the field goal at the end of the game or not, we had 1:30.
Yeah.
And I think we got a 3 and out. I can't even remember the details right now, but it was kind of a shit show of a drive.
Yeah.
Kind of got that feeling that Michigan had all the momentum and we were in trouble.
Yeah. How do you break that? What do you do to break that? I mean, can you feel that when you're playing? Like, man, we need to come up with something here.
Physicality, just physicality, intense play by your leaders, and just relentless, and that's what it all comes down to. Just dominating someone physically and just letting everybody see it.
Yeah,
talk shit. I mean,
yeah, right.
You got to get everybody going.
Somebody's got to do something, and then just get everybody jacked up again. Right?
Yeah.
Which for you guys, a lot of times it would be you running over somebody. Everybody seems to love that. I mean, I hear that from your teammates all the time.
Well, I mean, again, I think it's kind of, you see your quarterback or one of your leaders out there, just everybody's kind of lollygagging. Then you see a Derek or an Ardarius Stewart just lay the wood to somebody, and you're like, holy shit.
It's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right. Derek. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's time to wake up and get on the same page with him.
Yeah. Hand him the ball and let him. This team really didn't have they really didn't have like a Derrick Henry, or like you said, they didn't have a Amari Cooper or a Calvin Ridley. I mean, not yet. See, I think Isaiah Bond could be that guy. And then,
yeah, I do too.
And everybody keeps talking about Ryan Williams when he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
Being someone that you can really count on. I mean, and you hate to say for a high school guy, but I mean, he'll be in college next football season.
Oh yeah. Well, there's, we'd be prepping for games. You'd see, I mean, there was always 3 or 4 shot plays,
mm-hmm.
and you'd be like, based on what you're seeing in film, how they're aligning, how they're covering this. If the ball's there, it's going to be a touchdown with this guy running the route.
Right.
And there were several plays that I can remember where it was like, don't fuck this up.
Yeah, right. No pressure.
That's right. There was a long touchdown to Calvin Ridley when we played Arkansas, and we were playing like shit. I mean, it was like the worst game.
Yeah, right. I remember.
We played all year. And there's a double move actually, and I remember going through it the week before practice. Lane made us write our favorite play on the board, each quarterback in the room, and I can't remember what it's called now, but it was Calvin Ridley on a double move, and I was like, that's the one I think is gonna be a touchdown, and of course he calls the play, and I think we're down 10-7 at the time, and or maybe it was the first touchdown, I can't remember, but I remember getting the snap, and I remember seeing that safety just kind of, he stood there in place. I was like, he was squatting the route. I was like, oh, hell yeah. And I just let it go, and I got hit, and, I'm just laying in the dirt, and I have no idea what's going on. And the crowd just erupts and goes crazy. And then you see me do this, and just like, thank God that worked out. Because you don't know. I mean, you just throw it up there and you're hoping for the best.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's crazy. Let's talk about 2014. We always talk about 2015. This season really was a lot like 2014 for Alabama, losing in the first round. It's the only other time they've lost in the first round. Lost to, Ohio State's arch rival. SEC isn't in the championship game. I thought that year, 2014, you guys were ahead of schedule. I didn't expect you to get that far. And you guys did, and and then looking back, you know what? You could have won it.
Yeah.
This year I didn't really have that same vibe until afterwards, and I look back and I'm like, we're ahead of schedule. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, and you look back now and you're like, man, a couple plays here, a couple clean snaps there.
Oh yeah,
we're playing and winning the national championship, because I think Washington's going to have a tough time would have had a tough time with Alabama or Michigan, because of their ability to run the football, control the clock.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they can stop them. I'm not a fan of Washington's defense.
I'm not either. The only thing that makes me believe in Washington is Michael Penix, and that's it. I mean, that is it.
Yeah.
Because he just seems to make plays when he needs to.
He does.
And he's unbelievably quick getting that ball out, and he's so accurate.
But these defenses are different. I mean, even Texas's defense, they had a good defensive front, but their secondary wasn't good. Alabama and Michigan are both going to match up with would have matched. Alabama would have matched up. Michigan's going to match up with their wide receivers, and it's not going to be easy to find those guys. I mean, they're good. Both of those teams are good. You're talking about two really good secondaries with Alabama and Michigan. I just think Washington's going to struggle. So what I'm saying is I just feel like the championship game, we already had it.
Yeah. I mean,
that's my opinion. We'll find out. It could be wrong.
It seems to be that's usually how it works historically in the college football playoff. I know our year, the national championship was definitely the last game of the season.
Yeah.
We beat Clemson by 5, but usually that's how it works out. The national championship game is played in the first round.
Yeah. But what about the year before? I mean, what was it like losing and dealing with all of that stuff?
It was awful. I think I've said this ever since I left Alabama. I mean, to me, it's all about Coach Saban's always going to get his teams to the playoff for the most part. I mean, his teams are usually always good enough to make it to the playoff, because he coaches them up and gets them there. And then whether you win in the playoff or not is all based on the leadership on the team and that cohesiveness. How bad does that team want it, and how bad are they going to police themselves to make that happen?
Yeah.
And 2015, I remember. I mean, if we weren't doing what we were told, during the schedule, we had off time. Everybody was in that. There's always a room set aside for us when we were playing games, hanging out. Just staying focused.
Yeah. In 2014, did you guys realize that? I mean, did you think you were going to win it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it was was it the same vibe that you had in 15?
I think 15, everybody was a lot more angry.
So there was just that extra fire.
I think everybody was, there were, there's good fights and there's bad fights during practice. I think, that year, everybody was practicing their ass off and everything was really intense, even the week of. I mean, Ryan and I were talking about it a few podcasts ago. When I remember watching some of those fights with Ashawn and Dallas Warmack, and it was just grinding in practice. Everybody was so focused. Those are the right kind of fights, whereas I've seen other fights for multiple other teams. It's more so about who's getting what playing time, and
right.
It's just not kind of a cohesive fight. It's not a fight that makes you stronger.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully, what my point is that they have that fire. Hopefully, like this is what that they build on this, because
next year.
Yeah, because they're going to have a lot of these players come back.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to, and then they'll use the transfer portal and pick and choose some guys to fill in certain spots. But this is going to be a good team next year, and they're going to be a lot more experienced.
No, that's right. And everybody will have that memory of loss,
Yeah.
I hate to see, I know we're going to, it sounds like we're bashing McLaughlin. I hate to see him leaving, I think he's going to look back and realize it's kind of a mistake. You're playing at Alabama.
You think he could have fixed whatever was going on?
I mean, you would think so. I don't think that's a nervous type thing. I think it's, again, to me, I cannot stand the clap. I can't stand the cadence that they're using. I want to see visual cues snap the ball, slows down everything a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think that he's just trying to get off the ball faster? You know what I mean? Is he hurrying?
Yeah. You got to think a lot of times you got a nose in your face and you got to freaking, snap that ball and get, get your hands up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, low snaps. I mean, I've never played center before, but you would think that low snaps is just not following through and trying to get your hands up and blocking a guy.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy.
Center,
that's a tough job.
Center, quarterback, and corner. Man, those are 3 tough jobs to have.
Yeah.
You got to be very cerebral, and then at corner, you got to be pretty smart. You got to be really athletic.
Yeah, right. You played with one of the best centers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without a doubt.
Man, I can see that guy like calling plays and just out defenses and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. When Ryan was up there, you never had anybody in your lap.
No, he was one of my favorite
He
players.
was always – he snapped the ball and he was holding his ground, push people around. He's smart. One of the smartest guys I ever played with. Just disciplined, never making a fool of himself.
Yeah.
Dad's a police officer. Freaking, I know his brother's in the Navy. Good family.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, was there ever a player, because you're talking about Seth McLaughlin, and he's certainly maligned now. I mean, I'm sure it's been
the worst 48 hours.
It's got to be tough on him, man. I mean, I know. And look, there's a part of me that as a professional, I have to call him out, but then there's that personal part where it's like, man, I know it sucks though. Like I said before, I mean, we've all kind of been there.
He'll never forget it. I mean, in that moment, I mean, the hardest time I had, I feel like, was when I first got to Alabama, and the hype was just crazy. It was,
yeah.
And then I didn't start, and it was like, all right, we're going to murder this guy,
Yeah, right.
And it's like, you want to just give everybody the middle finger and just say, screw this. What I didn't come here for all this shit.
Yeah, right.
But you stick it out and listen to it, and I think it's good to have a little FU in you,
right. Well, you get to
fight
that
back,
point.
And when you stick it out and work hard, and you finally get your opportunity, and it all works out. Which I think if he stuck around, I think it probably would. Then you get to just see how you survive that, and you kind of get to relish in the victory of all those defeats.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, man.
Yeah, and you gotta also think. I mean, I remember I was I was playing in a intramural softball league at Florida State, and
I've been in some of those. We lost our fraternity one. Because I told everybody the wrong date, the championship game, and I got the date wrong. And
didn't even play, and you screwed it up.
We beat that team that ended up winning with 8 players because we didn't have enough guys. We batted around 3 times in one inning.
Yeah,
with 8 guys, and we would have killed them. I mean, we were great, especially if we had like 10, I got the date wrong. It still remind me. So I know, like, you wouldn't think intramural softball would be that important.
Well, no. So when I was playing, it was a bunch of my teammates and equipment managers, and we'd play against, whoever. And, there was always that one team that had the nicest bat. They had the Marucci gloves or whatever you call them.
KAs against Florida State.
We played some. But, we had practice the next day or something, so we weren't getting hammered. We were actually, trying to win. And I remember I was talking to a guy. I think he was a KA, and we had become pretty good friends. We weren't hanging out on the weekends or anything, but when I saw him, we'd talk. And he was drunk as hell, and he was giving me shit about football or something. Yeah, right up y'all's alley. and I was like, man, I hear enough of that shit. Just take it somewhere else. And he was like, well, you signed up for it. And I was like, it's so crazy. That happened 10 years ago, and I've always thought back on that. And I'm like, I did sign up for this.
Yeah, right.
It's all part of the gig, And when you accept a responsibility like that, more people are going to talk shit about you.
I know.
And a lot of it's true,
Hey,
and you either hide from it or you face it.
Yeah, no, look, I've called Major League Baseball games.
Yeah.
And you're going to, if you read the message board, like a lot of people are going to get you, and then there's people that are just
yeah.
going to hate you, because of whatever. But the thing about it is, like, it's just the people are so into it, like it means something to them. When I did women's basketball at Alabama, nobody ever heard it. Like it was like like a tree falling in the woods. Like they're never never. I never had someone come up and go, "Hey man, that buzzer beater you had against Kentucky was awesome." And I'm like, thought it was a pretty good call. You know what I mean? No one cares. When you step on the main stage, man, you got to take that heat. It comes with the job.
Well, that's what I've always told guys, especially quarterbacks that have come behind me when I've had the opportunity, or just in regular life. I mean, you either win or you lose, and nobody gives a shit about the reason why you lost or really the reason why you won. It's either you won or you lost.
Yeah, right.
And if you lose, it's your fault. And if you win, it's probably Derrick Henry's fault.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Kiss my ass, Jim.
Man, that reminds me.
So I do remember, like, I was on the sideline of it was like third down. We're like backed up again in our own end zone, and this is Clemson game, national championship. And at this point, Coach Saban had never lost a national championship game. I mean, we lost in the playoff, but it wasn't a national championship game. And I'm throwing the ball to Calvin Ridley, and there's some argument there whether he came out of his break a little slow or not, and I threw it and it went over his head, and I mean, I'm cussing myself in my head, and I get to the sideline and I go sit with Lane and we're talking, and then I had some time to walk over by myself, and I take a knee and I'm kind of watching the game by myself, and I'm just like, and in the first half of that game, I was playing really conservatively. I mean, I remember thinking in that game, all right, as long as we don't turn the ball over, and I just get the ball out, don't take many sacks, which I did take some sacks, obviously. But if I do all this, then we'll win this game and it'll all be fine. Get further into that game and you start to realize how good Clemson is.
Yeah, you got to make plays now.
And so anyway, I throw that ball over Calvin's head and I talk to Lane, go sit by myself, and I'm on a knee, and I'm just like, if you don't man up and stop playing like a little bitch,
right,
you're gonna be the first quarterback to ever lose for Coach Saban, and that's what you're gonna be remembered for the rest of your life, or in local circles at Alabama, which is a lot of my circle.
It's a big circle.
Yeah, and so I mean, after that, I was like, screw it. We're just gonna. If I throw 10 interceptions, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I mean, again, you just in those moments, you play with fear, man. You can't beat those good teams.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Just,
you can't do it, man.
Doing anything with fear, it'll ruin you.
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, I can see that the mental part of the game being really, really tough to deal with.
Oh yeah,
because of the pressure.
You think that, you're just going to go out there and play, and you don't think about any. It's just game, which for the most part it is. On the field it is. But on those sidelines, man, sometimes there's some lonely moments out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Who'd you hang out with on the sideline when you needed somebody to talk to?
I mean, Ryan and I.
That's what I figured.
Spent a lot of time, and then Richard Mullaney.
Another great one, man.
No, yeah. I mean, Thursday nights, Dylan Lee, myself, Ryan Kelly, and Richard Mullaney would always go to Longhorn on McFarland every Thursday night, and we'd spend a lot of time together, and so we always kind of bounced a lot of stuff off each other.
Yeah, I think if you guys had this NIL money, you could have gone to like Ruth Chris. Did you eat the peanuts? Is that one of those places where they have the peanuts when you walk in?
No, I don't think so.
That's Logan's. My sister used to work at Logan's in Tuscaloosa.
After we, there was no NIL back then, obviously, but but I'll never forget.
Sorry for bringing that up again. It lifts my spirit every time.
Oh, yeah.
Not because you didn't get any money. Just because, it is funny. Bad timing of life.
It's good to have podcasts like that. Because then you can sit there, me and him had the same college experience.
Exactly.
We both did like shit.
Yeah, right. We did. I remember one time, man, one of my first years at Alabama, I was so broke. I had my tires went flat on my car, and I couldn't afford to pay for them. I had to pawn my class ring to do it, and I hated it, but it's those experiences, man, that build your character, and keep you on the road. I mean, and they weren't even new tires. Like, I went to the place, the place that has like the, 4 used tires.
Probably retreaded.
I don't know. Like, somebody got good tires, and now I'm like paying like, $25 a piece for their old tires, and they're going bald,
I remember we did our as soon as the season was over, a lot of guys did a signing in Huntsville and Birmingham, and I was going up, and I stayed at Ryan Kelly's apartment because I had gotten rid of my apartment already, like 2 weeks after the season or whatever in January, and Ryan was staying up there. He kept his apartment up there for whatever reason, and we had pro day or something. This was the day after pro day. And I'm staying in his apartment, and he's got to do the same signing.
Right.
And we start talking about, the pricing for each autograph and all that, and how much we're going to make. And
right.
And he was like, man, I'm getting fucked. He's like, he's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, hey, I mean, it is what it is. And he was like, I can't believe this. And then finally I was like, listen, you son of a bitch. You're going in the first round. I don't want to hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
When we get a little bit older, I'm going to be asking to borrow this kind of money from you. So I don't want to hear it.
It was a different position, a different price. Yeah. How much more, though? I mean, we won't tell him, but how much more was it? Like,
I mean, at that time, it was
out of there, fresh out of the championship.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I can't remember, but it was a good percentage more.
Was it?
Yeah,
it must have been nice.
I mean, again, if
because you weren't even allowed, which is so just effed up, is that you guys couldn't sell your autograph.
Oh yeah.
Somehow, I will say this though. Somehow they ended up at the men's store in the mall. Some crazy way, I saw him in there.
Oh yeah.
Then there was like a whole like store of autographs. I'm sure somebody waited outside the stadium.
I mean, and my dumb ass, when I was playing, I'd have a guy that was like, 45 years old with a teardrop tattoo under his eye. I'd be like, hey, you mind signing these same 10 prints over and over again?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, right.
And then I do my first signing. I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Do it for the kids, man. Do it for the kids, but not for that you were probably, who knows, before you actually did your first signing.
I'd always do it for the kids. I'd always do it for the kids.
But I'm just saying, the guy, autograph guy, wonder what he was getting for a Jake Coker autograph before it was out there. Then as you started getting hot down the stretch,
I was about to say he had one season to get it while I could.
He started picking up steam. Wonder if he was he like, I'm going to go ahead and sell all 10 of these now? Or do you think he held back and waited for like once we started like the SEC championship, probably that would have probably been the time to do it, right? Before Christmas, right after the SEC championship, before you go out and do it legally.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
Well, I found some like right when I got Twitter, like right after that season, and on Twitter I'd see people selling the Sports Illustrated with me and Derek and Reggie Ragland, and all the signatures were not my signature. And I was like,
it was a fake
Coker? Oh yeah.
My goodness.
I'm sure people bought it.
What was a fake Coker autograph? Was it like a shitty autograph, or was it actually better than the one you normally do?
It was about, I guess, it's 2024, so it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. So I don't really remember.
They're probably like, he's never going to know about this.
He had to have gotten away with it for a few weeks.
If you bought any of the Sports Illustrateds with Jake and Derek on there, you better check and make sure that autograph's legit.
The Daniel Moores are real, though. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
Those are real.
I love that, man. We've had some good Daniel Moores. We've had some good moments, even this season. Like I know that like we had a great year, but it's just like being so close.
Oh, I know.
And that's Alabama, man. We don't get our ass kicked a lot. You got to play a good game to beat us. And they did. They played a good game. Like they made some mistakes, but we made some mistakes, like their special teams suck. We killed it there. Their defensive line was in the backfield the whole game. They had a good game plan. They took advantage of the fact that they have a bunch of guys that are experienced. Like think if we had Bryce back for another season, and this isn't a shot at Milroe, but it's just different. They've had the same quarterback there for like 5 years now, whatever it is, like the guy's been around for a long time.
JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, and he's great
at Michigan.
I told you, he's like Jay Barker. I mean, he's not blowing you away with like you're looking and going.
Throw it.
But you know what? So could Jay.
I didn't say. I just saying. I know what you're saying.
But when people try to use this term like game manager, right? And I think that's a bullshit term. Mm-hmm. Winner is the term I'm looking for.
Yeah.
When you end up I forget what Jay's record was, but it was like 30 something and 2, and a tie or something, right? And this guy's 26-1. Like I always think about Greg Maddux because I spent time with him when he was special assistant to Jim Hendry, and I loved listening to him talk about just like the mental part of winning. Mm-hmm. And it'd be like, hey man, if you score 5 runs, how many runs can you give up? Like 4. If you score 2 runs, how many runs can you give up? And his point was like, even as obvious as that is that you manage the game based on the score.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't take the risks.
Specific circumstances.
You get it, right? Yeah. And that's how quarterbacking is. And like I think that we have too many people that are in the media that discount what it takes to win a damn game. It's not managing a game; it's winning a game.
Yeah, well, it's like that.
You have something saying by that?
No, it's like it's like the example I brought up earlier. You go in, or at least my perspective, and a lot of what quarterbacking in Alabama was.
Yeah,
distributing the ball, be pretty conservative. And then, hey, man, once you realize all the chips are on the table and you can't do that and you got to start making plays, you better start slinging it around.
Yeah.
And you got to live with mistakes you make. But, the talent at Alabama when I was there was off the charts.
Yeah.
Had a lot of great leadership my senior year. And, you had to take advantage of the big moments. Mm-hmm. Like I said, those 3-4 plays that you knew were going to be home runs.
Yeah.
As long as you executed and got the ball there. Had to take advantage of those. And then other than that, you had to make sure that the playmakers got the ball in the right position and they were able to run with it.
Yeah.
There were very few games where that wasn't the case. And Clemson in the second half kind of became that type of game. Yeah,
that was awesome, man. You got me killed up there with those guys. Pounding.
There was some luck too with some busted coverages, but
kickoff return for a touchdown. Yeah, the OJ touchdown. Derrick Henry broke one, I think. Right.
I think the first touchdown of the game.
Yeah,
like a big one.
Man, it was. I'll tell you that the thing I remember about that too is no one could get to the game. We couldn't get there because there wasn't a lot of flights to get to Phoenix.
Oh, I think I did hear about that.
Right. And
so
bunch
got canceled too.
Yeah, and they got canceled and everything. And between us and Clemson, we couldn't get there. So the game comes, and I had an intern that went to Arizona State. and he worked with me on my football show. He would do like a highlight package for my radio show every week, like where they would play like the clips from Crimson Tide Sports Network, and then he'd voice it, he'd be like, and then Jake Coker, and then they'd play the highlight. But he worked with me on the Cubs mostly. Great kid named Joey. And Joey's like, man, I really want to go to the game. And I'm like, well, I bought my ticket from, I think, Mike, and they were like the A club tickets or whatever that you guys get.
Yeah.
And it was like face value, and it wasn't terrible. It was like $350. This guy's not doing that. So he texts me like, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes before the game. And he's like, yeah, I'm sitting down here. Like he's got like 40-yard line seats that he paid $25 for. We're like in the upper deck. I sent you the picture of where we were like over the cone, like.
I know you've been telling me that you saw that play happen right in front of you. You sent me that picture. I was like, that shit didn't happen right in front of you.
What I will say though, is I thought you would say that, but I've got eagle eyes, man. I've got eagle eyes,
man,
and I can see
eagle eyes, huh?
Yeah,
those glasses help
reading glasses.
Okay.
When I get out there, like you ever want to go, you take me hunting. I'm like a scout out there. Like tenderfoot or something. Tonto. I can see, man, for miles. And when I sent you that, I was like, God, that sure does look a lot farther back than I remember. So funny,
you
man.
sent me that, and I was like looking at my phone like this.
Yeah.
It's like, there's the field.
So the reason I found that is was like Christmas, and I had my son and I went to downtown Fairhope to get my wife some Christmas presents. Well, of course, as soon as we got out there, he's like, he's hungry. I need a beer. So we go to the pizza place, and we're sitting there waiting on pizza. He's like, hey, can you show me some videos that you have saved on your phone of me as a baby? And I'm like looking through, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there was those pictures instead of that. And the other thing, I didn't realize this either, is when you transferred, I was on I was doing the selection show thing that they did at Alabama. Do you remember this? Like every time you guys would fax your letter of intent in, like there was we had this, like they used to do this thing like it was like draft day. So it would be like, you'd put people's names up. Well, I'm like looking at that and I see your name on there. And I was like, man, I wonder if you even watched that. It was like it was that in Alabama. And then I think it was Reuben Foster, right? Who was the guy from Auburn that came to Alabama and played defense?
Oh, Razor Blade. Rashawn Evans.
Yeah. We got him at the last minute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my job is to go up, like there's a podium. And then I'm like, and I'm like reading in like Jake Coker, Mobile, and then I walk over and put the name up, that's how they did it that year. Well, then his name came in, right? And it was like Auburn had already put him on their website. Do you know this story?
No.
They had put him on their website because they thought they were getting him. So people were like looking at it, but then he came our way. Well, then I put it up there and I got my 15 minutes, man. ESPN had me on, like I was on Sports Center for that signing. I
got to look that up.
Yeah. Like,
I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's great, man. For like, all I said was his name and put his name up there. And that was like the big flip that day, Yeah. That was great.
So he did it on National Signing Day?
Yes.
He committed to Auburn. And then,
well, he was like going to go to Auburn, and then all of a sudden, like signed for Alabama. So I don't know what the ins and outs were. My job wasn't to do that. I just know I was sitting there with Tom Rinaldi, and then he's asking Josh, hey, is there? I got to go do something else. Should I stay here or should I leave?
Yeah.
And Josh's like, you probably want to stay here. I'll stay here, Back when Rinaldi worked for ESPN, right? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is good. Like something good's gonna happen, like it's gonna be great, And then that happened. So
I've talked to Tom a few times, and I always got a kick out of him. He reminds me of Tucker Carlson, that laugh like out of nowhere, just do that outrageous out of nowhere laugh. He's great. He's a great guy, but it's so funny. you'd be talking to him and you'd say something that I guess it's a little, you can tell, I don't think he's been around like Southern guys a lot.
Yeah.
And I guess our humor or just dry personality.
Well, yours in particular.
Yeah, I probably said some stupid stuff off camera.
Hey,
that's why I look back at some of my interviews. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, if they only knew what was going through my head when I was answering these questions.
Well, that reminds me. I'm going to have to bring this up. Great job on Feinbaum last week. You know, you were
called him out a little bit.
Yeah, I loved it, and then he kind of brushed it off, and I would have just went at him a second time.
No, not you.
Yes, you know that. You come on. Let me just tell you, like Jake comes on, and they're talking about the game. What day was it? Friday?
Yeah, I think so.
It was Friday,
yeah,
right?
It was Friday.
So it's 3:00 on Friday, and I'm like driving. I made sure I was in the car so I could listen. And as I'm in there, and then here you come, and then and he said something, and you're like talking about how you for the last 6 years we had to get off to a slow start, and you're ready to end the dynasty, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, the last 6 years we lose in week 3, and then Paul Feinbaum's calling for the end of the Alabama dynasty. And then you look around 6 weeks later, and we're in the playoff, and everything's the same.
Which was brilliant. Which is absolutely brilliant. And he just brushed it off. So what do you think about that? And I'm sure you were like, well, maybe I should. I wish you would have just
on the phone. So like my father-in-law was listening to it. He's like, he laughed. But on the phone, you can't hear him laugh.
Yeah.
And so like I say all that.
Did he laugh on TV?
He did.
I didn't see the TV. So
okay. So he was
I didn't
laughing.
hear it either.
Yeah, he was laughing, and I don't hear anything. And I'm just like, well, this might fall flat.
I didn't know that. See, it came off like he didn't laugh.
Right, well, so
but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, so then I
Should have doubled down. That's when you go in twice. Then you hit him with the Elephant in the Room podcast. Hey, Paul, you know what I've been up to?
I've been talking shit about you on a podcast.
Yeah, we have. That's so funny.
I'm not making fun of your takes, but if I was going to, a lot of subject matter to work with.
Well, you should say next time you come on with us.
Yeah, that's right.
Get him in here with us. Like, I wonder if he drinks beer. He strikes me as like a red wine guy,
Yeah,
white wine,
a fine wine, and a book and a robe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I find these beers preposterous.
He's not going to talk about Auburn putting a nightgown back on.
That's why we love Ryan. That's why we love Ryan. I miss Ryan.
Let's see if we can't get him here.
We're going to have him come back because but today was a good we had to kind of get back on track because I wasn't feeling my normal self until now. Like I watched the Chappelle last night, and that first joke in that was brilliant, and then the second one was brilliant, and then I love Chappelle, man. He has my sense of humor, which I know you have to like him too,
I
because I know we laugh at the same shit.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like watching him. Every time I watch him, I'm like, this is a guy I want to go. It's
some deep comedy.
Yes,
it's
man.
Like it's.
Can you see him backstage in a place like this with a joint and like his legs kicked up, talking about stuff that we probably enjoy talking about?
Well, he's one of those guys who knows that, like, he's seen behind the curtain on a lot of these people who put a show on for TV.
Yeah, right.
Which, I think everybody does it to a certain degree.
Right.
But a lot of them are afraid to, like, step out there, and which I've been that guy too. I mean, I usually, this is the first time I've really.
I know. Look at you now.
Well,
are you getting blacklisted from this show?
I still got a job. So
good. The funny thing is that most of the comments I've read, people like you.
Hope so.
Shocking. I'm just kidding. Ryan's the guy that comes in and makes us both look good. Like, 'cause he's so damn funny. You know what I mean?
He really doesn't care.
He
really
doesn't care.
And
it's like really, like, I laugh about when he's here, like the next day. You know what I'm talking about? Like, because some of the stuff, it's so funny at the time, but then when I go back and think about the person watching, you know what I mean? Like, you're either gonna love this or you're gonna be like,
you gotta get out of here.
Yeah. This is not for you, honey. But this is honestly,
it's like one of those videos your buddy sends you, and they don't warn you to turn the volume down.
Yeah.
That's what that podcast is.
Yeah. Oh no, that's we're you know what though? Normally we at least give you a good 10 minutes before we say anything bad. You know what I mean? Like, we let you warm up a little bit.
Professional for a little bit.
Yeah, right. Like,
you put a lipstick on a pig for a little while.
Yeah. We slowly work you into it, and then when the boil happens, it happens. You know?
Yeah, just like, I was gonna not drink any beer during January, but you poured this before I got in here. I'll just go ahead and take another one.
I'm trying to do that for a different reason. I gotta lose weight.
Yeah, don't we all?
No, you don't.
No, but we've had a lot of fun. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
we got to I guess we got to start talking about Alabama basketball.
Yeah, we can talk some hoops. I mean,
we'll talk Michigan and Texas tomorrow, I guess. But
Washington. See, you didn't even watch the game.
Yeah, Michigan and Washington.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Like, if it wasn't for the money that I'm probably going to win from that pick'em contest,
no, I'll watch.
They never let me in because I win, and now I'm going to win again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I said when they let me in, I'm like, you guys, you never ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's that I win or that I talk shit when I win. You know what I mean? Like,
especially the first year in, the new guy is just.
This is the first time since I won last time that they let me. It's been like 2 years, and that was like a NASCAR. Like, I think that one was like a NASCAR.
So they've got 365.
No, they do it all the time. They just don't let me in a whole lot. You know?
Yeah.
But he did ask me my pick on the Washington Texas game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was going to take Texas, and I'm like, don't take Texas. I was sure about that one.
Yeah.
It was one of my top, basically with these pick contests, what you do is it's on ESPN. You pick based off of like how you don't pick against the spread. You pick against like how sure you are that a team's going to win.
And the more money the more confident you are, the more money is on that. Okay.
Yeah, right. So the first game for me was I would have bet my house.
Hopefully you took Georgia.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Exactly. My house, my shed, my truck, everything.
Yeah.
Like, there was no way Florida State was beating Georgia. No way. And then I saw the transfers and everything else, but this wasn't happening. That was number one. Then the second game to me was that Iowa team that I thought sucked, and Tennessee kicked their ass. So those two right off the bat. So then, like I said, I got 32 of the games right out of 42 that have been played. So, there's a lot more in there, but these games are hard to pick because you just don't know.
Well, the
who's playing.
Opt-outs now, it's just impossible. Yeah. I mean, just throwing darts at a wall, Well,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, you think that, but for me, I actually have a little bit more. You know what it is? This is the truth. Is that
so? Back when you knew who the teams were and who was playing, not so good.
What did I tell you all year long? No. What happened was, this is what happened, is that I've had the worst year, the worst regular season I've ever had, right? And it was like even the games that I kind of knew what was going to happen, it would happen, but somehow the score didn't work out to the way I thought it was, Yeah. But I was just like, eventually this is all going to play itself out. This is just the balancing of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we watch this stuff every day. We cover it. We know it. Or I'm just lucky as shit. I don't care. Give me the money. Just give me the money. Put that in my Venmo.
That's what I in that office pool I got going on. I'd have guys. I mean, I don't even know how it's possible. I was hitting it like a 75% clip, and some of those guys started calling me on like Saturday morning. They're like, "Hey, who you feel good about?" I was like, "Dude, don't put real money on this."
Yeah, right.
I mean, you know,
but they're looking at your stat sheet.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just got the lucky hand this year.
Now, I see what I've got. Michigan. I think Michigan's going to win big. I don't even know if the game's going to be close. I think that Michigan's got the monkey off their back. I think that they have the better.
When you beat Alabama, all of a sudden everybody's playing like Tarzan.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And
yeah.
they just all the confidence in the world. You know, that's the validation for everybody in the country. You beat Alabama, and all of a sudden you're validated.
Well, I mean, look, to beat Alabama, you got to play a hell of a game. I mean, that's
right.
You know, there's just not a lot of. I'm trying to think like the one Clemson game.
I mean, Alabama lost that game more than Michigan won it.
I know.
I think, but I mean,
you're right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, right.
You know, when we lose, we just blew it in key moments of the game.
Yeah, we just made.
And they had their mistakes too. I mean, they did, but ours, especially in the second half. I mean, drive killers.
Yeah,
fumble the football, and you just can't overcome a lot of that in 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's tough, man.
But, you know, again, we talked about it earlier. It's one of those, you know, you hate to see it. You're pulling for these guys more than anything.
Oh, I know.
And you hate to see them lose. It's just, especially after the year they had.
We love them, man. I mean, like, really, we love some Alabama football. I mean, it is in your blood. You know?
It's a part of the culture down here.
I know. People, when we win, people text me from all over the country, and when we lose, you know, they text me from all over the country. You know? I mean, different people.
It's so awesome to be in the conversation every year.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your name's come up a lot. Saban talked about you in the press conference.
Did he really?
You didn't know that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, he was like, he couldn't remember what year you were there, but he he was like, it was that same, hey, this team might be like the 2015 team. But I don't know, man. Like I said before, I just didn't, I thought that you guys were different, you know?
Well, again,
I think that they were like 2014. Next year, they're going to be like 2000.
Yeah, I go back to the point of our team was just, we had a lot of leaders in the right spots.
Yeah.
You know, I think Jalen's a great leader. I mean, I thought his press conference after the game was exemplary for everybody.
Yeah.
I love him. I really do. I've said a few things on this podcast that might sound like I'm a little negative. I hope that's not the way it comes off. But,
never.
I mean, we don't win without him playing well, and that speaks volumes of him as a player. And I don't know if he had enough help, and not just from a performance standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint. And I think all those guys are great guys, but I think you need some guy. You need your group of guys who are just rough, kind of dirty players.
Yeah.
You need your guys who keep it in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you need your guys who are just even keel. Don't really say much, get the job done, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you need guys that are older in the locker room, and you need guys that are in key positions of leadership and playmakers that are also vocal leaders. And we had the perfect amount of each. And I mean, I think this team just hadn't quite developed to that point yet.
I think for him, he needs to take what he did this year and spend the offseason working on the technique of playing quarterback. You know, being better with the balance, being better with like the reading of the defenses, like because now he's got the experience under his belt.
Oh, yeah.
And that just goes like that's like the same thing as a pitcher with baseball. You know, it's like there's parts where you got to go back and start working on like the mechanical part of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean by
chip
that?
On his shoulder.
Yeah,
I mean it's the perfect storm for Alabama next year. Tommy Rees, he knows what he's coaching now. We're not going to have the the growing pains of brand new,
right.
brand new personnel on offense. Again, the guys have just come off. I mean, I say one of the worst losses just because it was a loss that I know
sucked.
It's going to stick with them
Yeah.
forever.
Sucked for us, and we didn't even play.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like you feel for them.
Yeah. I mean, again, I kind of, when I left, I separated myself a little bit and didn't watch as intensely as I do now. And a lot of that's because of the podcast. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm so invested now in watching every week, and get excited about those guys, and just a sad, I don't know, sad deal.
Yeah,
to see those guys that you've been watching and pulling for.
Yeah, it's like somebody just ran up and kicked you right in the nuts.
Yeah, I feel like my stomach still hurts.
Yeah, mine too, man. Like the first day on my channel, Bama Tailgate on YouTube is my channel, and I do try to do stuff every day, and it was like so hard to get to come in the studio and do a show.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I just at the end of the day, I was like, I got to do it.
Oh yeah.
And I came in here and did it. And I mean, if I would have done it in the morning, probably more people to watch, but I couldn't, man. I was just like hurt, like, and not in a way where I'm like, the thing that I can't stand, and it would bother me, is if I ever thought that we didn't give the effort that we're supposed to give. And I didn't feel like that. I thought we gave a great effort. I like this team. I like their personality. It was more that it just didn't go our way. They played smarter football at the end of the game, and we didn't. And that's it. We needed somebody to make a play.
Yeah, they were like the older Alabama teams that had, when the play needed to happen, it happened.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like you talk about, you play to win.
To win the game.
And we had some of those moments during the year, but again, you always worried about that mistake that was going to cost us at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
man.
It finally caught up to us.
Yeah, those snaps. So we'll see, man. I mean, there's going to be a lot of transfer portal. We've added guys, got a couple from Texas A&M. I think we're going to continue to add guys. Ole Miss has gone out and they've killed it in the transfer portal, but you can't build a whole, you can do some of that stuff. I mean, guys like you come in and it's like such a great thing, but then if you get too many guys from the transfer portal, don't you feel like you kind of miss out on the culture part of it too?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, you got guys you've been, telling their parents and them, how much you trust in them, how much you're going to develop them, and then you bring in a new guy and you got to tell them, well, it's, you got to compete, know, and that's the real world, but as young guys, golly, you think about how stupid you were at 18 to 22.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of develop that toughness and that mentality at that young of an age.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's pretty fun to, I was able to build a good relationship with all those guys in 2 years, but it's hard to beat a long-term locker room relationship with a bunch of guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it's everyone has a different path, right? But the thing that you don't want is you don't want it to be like Florida State, where no one really felt like the shame of the whole thing that happened at Florida State, where you had all the opt-outs, all the transfers. So they built that program recently, now with guys that they went out and got, paid for. And when it was like, hey, we're out of here. They didn't even play against Georgia, which to me is like, I don't get that, man.
Well, to me, that was another reinforcement of the fact that, to have guys opt out like that, and it's kind of a, in
the Orange Bowl. Yeah, it's not even a shitty bowl game. That's
against Georgia.
A great bowl game, man. A great opportunity.
Oh yeah. It just kind of, it illustrates kind of a bad culture. You know?
Man, I think
and I hate to say that, but guys should want to play, should want to, have that one last opportunity with their teammates. And maybe that's an old school opinion, but if the game's going to be played, you ought to go out there and fight with your teammates and have that one last experience. You know,
I think like I love doing baseball play-by-play. I've done it for 20 some years. I mean, I don't want to do it for free, but I love doing it. Like it's great to get paid for it, but at the same time, I loved it when I did it for free when I was a student at Alabama. Like I loved it. Like I would think that would be what it would be like to be a football player at a major university and get to play in a big game like the Rose Bowl.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't you think that, or the Orange Bowl? Or
again, I think about it. Just had I had 2 broken legs and 2 broken arms, I'd have still gone out and tried to play for Alabama. Just Alabama, Coach Saban. I mean, you get an opportunity like that, you're only and I think a lot of these kids don't realize. I mean, you've got really 48 games that are guaranteed.
Yeah.
In your college career. And I mean, most likely the NFL is not going to work out statistically.
Yeah, you're right.
So you're really, I mean, the only person you're hurting is yourself.
Yeah. How cool is it too, man? The uniforms look awesome, man. You got to wear Florida State has a cool uniform. Like going to a game there. I've been to a game there. It's just awesome, man. The guy comes in and he's got the torch, and people are going crazy. And then Tuscaloosa, like Alabama has the coolest. Like there's the helmet right there. I love it, man.
Oh yeah.
Like old school.
No, yeah. I remember thinking how cool it was to have that tomahawk on the side of your helmet.
Yeah.
And then, the spear on the side of the helmet. Then, finally got to, after my redshirt year, got to play a little bit, and I got a few tomahawks on there.
How'd you get what's I
still don't really.
I don't even know how you do that.
I'll go ahead and tell you, like, if you know an equipment manager pretty well, you'd be like, hey man, throw a few more tomahawks on there.
Dress it up a little bit. You don't want like one tomahawk.
Make it look like I've, made a few completions.
Yeah. How does it, like, what's the deal supposed to be? They just coach will come up and be
I really don't know.
Really?
I mean,
you would really just get your helmet and there'd be like more tomahawks.
Yeah. Like if you're, some badass player, your helmet's going to have a lot of tomahawks on it.
Yeah, right.
But I really don't know. I mean, again, my time at Florida State was able to throw a few touchdown passes.
But you were tomahawkless for the most part.
Yeah. I was like, our equipment manager's name was JJ and Bert. And I was like, hey guys, buy you a few beers this weekend if you throw a few tomahawks on there.
Nothing worse than a tomahawkless helmet. You come out there, no tomahawks. Dude, you still have the helmet? You got to have one.
I never got my Florida State helmet,
What?
actually. Yeah, I should have.
Man, you got it. Like, look at that. I got 2 helmets right there. They need to go head to head.
I got my Alabama helmet.
Yeah, but they need to go head to head.
I know. Well, I got out of there so quick. I mean, it was crazy. When I left Florida State, I mean, I didn't go back for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, you know what we call that? Hauled ass. You didn't even wait. You didn't even steal a couple things on the way out the door.
Well, hell, I had to be in Alabama like the next day.
Yeah, right. You didn't want to run into anybody on the way out. They probably weren't too happy with you.
No, I mean, it's, but I loved it there. I love those guys there. I mean, a lot of my best friends still there.
You might have to get one on like eBay or something.
No, but I mean, hey, I had a blast. It was golly, a lot of fun times.
You got like a display case for your stuff, or is it like in the closet somewhere?
Let's see. I've got a room at my house. Got my national championship jersey, my Senior Bowl jersey, and my Cotton Bowl jersey, all framed.
Nice.
That was a gift from the mother-in-law.
There you go.
Oh yeah, she's a beast.
House warming gift.
Oh yeah, and then, well, yeah, it's the man cave upstairs. I wanted to hang it in some more, viewable rooms.
No, yeah, I did that here.
My wife was like, "You got to get that shit out of here."
Yeah, so. Right. Yeah, this isn't the. I had the term. This isn't the Bryant Museum, because I have so many Daniel Moore pictures, but I love them.
And I've got a few. I got this one in my office. I got the Cotton Bowl MVP trophy in there, and I had my rings up there.
You got the Cotton Bowl. Oh, because you won the MVP of the Cotton Bowl, and you got the Cotton
offensive.
Bowl. Yeah, that's cool, man. So when you win those, you get to keep them.
Yeah.
Because do they give another one to like the school?
Is the heaviest, biggest trophy I've ever picked up. It's literally like 60 pounds.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Man, that's cool, man. Did you like raise it over your head and everything?
Dude, I'd have dropped it on my foot.
It's one of those like this. I've seen them. I haven't won many trophies.
I had the rings in my office, and I saw that Pawn Stars article where I can't remember who it was that sold his rings for like 40 grand. I was like, I got to get these things out of here.
I'm gonna take these home with me. Yeah, where's your office? Yeah, I was watching that today. They were selling the I mean, they're all reruns now, but they were. Do you remember the Beastie Boys? There's this group called the Beastie Boys, I did. And they had this album called License to Ill. And when I remember when it came out, man, it was like big time. You know, I was just a little kid, but it was like a huge album. And the art for it, they had it $50,000 for the original art that went on the record. You know,
yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish I had 50,000 for that. It'd be cool. Be a cool piece to have, you know.
Yeah. No, I've heard. I saw part of a documentary on them, but fell asleep. So.
Yeah. Just a bunch of old time.
I knew who they. I mean, I've heard the name, didn't know any songs, and then I was shocked. Then I was shocked to see that they were all white.
The
documentary.
Yeah, they were cool, man. They had there's some. Well, Tuscaloosa used to have a bar called Brass Monkey. They had a song called Brass Monkey. I'm guessing that those two probably went together somehow. Because I mean, I was such a kid when Brass Monkey was out, you know, like little kid.
Was there a reference to some jackass from Maryland in that
song? This was at Alabama.
I know what I'm talking about. They might have run into you in there.
Like I was in there when they had that one, Fight for Your Right to Party.
Yeah, I know.
You know that one.
I know that one.
No Sleep to Brooklyn.
I think
know that one too.
Yeah, they scream "No Sleep" in there a bunch.
Brooklyn, yeah. It's like major hits, man. Back in the day, it was them and Run DMC. They were like the kings of rap back then. It was before like Snoop and Dre and all those guys. Easy E. Yeah, we should get LT on with us to do we could talk a whole lot of like the history of rap. Because I know he likes rap.
Yeah, I'd be.
You'd be useless in that episode.
You and Lance could do that.
I don't really even listen to it anymore. I listened
to it. I listened to some in high school, for sure. I was one of those
hype song guy. You seem like a hype song guy.
I like a good adrenaline rush every now and then. So,
yeah. Well, I may have asked this before, but what was your hype songs?
When we did the Walk of Champions, every time getting off the bus, this is the one I remember the most, but Enter Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I'd be walking off the bus.
Virginia Tech, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I always loved that song. My older brother, he was big into rock and all that.
Yeah.
And so he liked that song a lot. But then I heard
Metallica.
I heard that, and I thought the roof was going to cave in when we played on a Thursday night in Blacksburg.
What was the score? Do you remember? Did you guys kick their ass?
Yeah, I think it was.
Because I might have watched that one. Thursday night
Logan Thomas was the quarterback at Virginia Tech at the time.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah, they used to the Thursday night games used to be great. Like that, like Florida State might play them or might play NC State. And I don't know why
we lost NC State on Thursday night.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, played them. They were always like they give Florida State a hard time when they used to be like dominant.
Yeah. We played Thursday night games. Florida State would not allow home games on Thursday nights.
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
Just because football's on Saturday or something?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly the reasoning, but we always played away games. I remember we played Boston College, beat them up in Boston. It was like 15 degrees, and I was redshirted that year, so I guess it was 2012.
One of those parkas. You had one of those parkas on, right?
No. They had the heated benches.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd go from when the defense was on the field, I went to that bench and sat down because it was heated. Offense was on the field. I was on that defensive bench, and Jimbo had just got done talking to EJ or something, somebody that was playing, and he turned around, and I'm on that bench like by myself with maybe Sean McGuire or another quarterback was red shirt, or I don't know. He looked at me, he was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Dude, it's cold and I'm ready to get out of here."
What are you supposed to be standing up?
We're up 30, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Are you supposed to be like standing up there watching a game? You're supposed to be like signaling plays?
We're up 30. I'm red shirted and I hadn't moved in 2 hours.
That's when you do one of these right here.
Yeah. Can you blame me?
No, I wouldn't. I would have hid. That's why I don't do construction. I did a little bit of construction as a job to get out of class in high school. It was just too cold, man.
No, I'm sure.
Up
Baltimore,
north, yeah, Baltimore. It was freezing, man. Like, I was like, never really cared too much for school. Then I got out there and did that, and I was like, fuck, when I get back, I'm studying my ass off. It didn't seem so bad anymore.
It's like being a roofer around here in July.
Man. Dude, then those guys were rough, and they would just make fun of you the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell my wife, but it was my high school girlfriend's dad's company, So his brother worked there, his son and her brother. It was like a family business. They were assholes. Like, it was, it would be like it would get out there at like 5:30 in the morning. Those guys work hard, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different type of work than we do.
Yeah.
We're entertainers. We're giving you guys something to listen to while you're doing all that stuff. While you're making fun and you're out there cutting trim and, stacking 2x4s and
making
4x8s.
Fun of guys like Mick.
Yeah. I could have learned a skill while I was there. Instead, I ran. I remember, like, anytime I did something right, I was like, holy shit, I did something right. Like, there wasn't many of those. It was like when you talked about Jimbo when you first got to Florida State. They just want to kick the football out of my hand. Except it was like a broom.
Oh, yeah. God. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Standing there with that ball, just having no idea. Like Ricky Bobby, no idea what to do with my hands, and he slapped that thing across the field.
That doesn't work anymore. These kids will go home like I do.
They just transfer,
You don't like the way I sweep? I'm not coming back.
Be like that. What's his Ohio State quarterback? Yeah, I didn't come here to play school. now I'm here to go to school.
Yeah. This $8 an hour you're paying me isn't cutting it. Oh man, that's when you figure out like why you see those like DeWalt radios, that you could like drop off like a 3rd-story building and they never break. You ever seen those before?
Oh, yeah.
Those were the days, man. Now, then you become a homeowner and you're like, why didn't I learn this shit?
Yeah.
Something breaks and you're like, if I just would have learned that, wouldn't have to call somebody else to come fix.
That's one. There's had a few jokes pop into my head that I'm like, I just can't share those on a podcast.
They sound like the ones I want to hear.
Maybe we'll get there one day.
Yeah. It could be directed at me, but it'd be funny. All right. Well, look, we did it. We're already an hour and 20, pretty much. Final thoughts on today's pod. I'm glad you're in good spirits. You've taken me there with you now. So I appreciate that.
Proud of my boys, but hopefully come back next year with a little fire, and I think it'll be good for us.
Yeah.
About time for another national championship.
Yeah, it is. It's just the toughest part is like we said.
Hopefully, if anything, we pissed off Coach Saban and he wants to stick around for 5 more years.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. I was afraid that maybe if we won it, he was going to be like, I just got a feeling Miss Terry's going to like call the dogs off. Like she's going to be like, it's done. We're going to travel and we're going to do this and this.
I think she loves it too, though.
I think she does, but I also think
she's going to have a hard time.
She's going to know when it's time, though.
I think so too. But
she's
I think
really, really smart.
But she's going to have a hard time saying goodbye to the relationships with the players and just the tight knit community of Tuscaloosa. And I mean, because Coach Saban and Miss Terry become. I mean, they're in that community. That's home now. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody loves them.
Yeah.
He could lose every game, and everyone around there is going to love Coach Saban and Miss Terry.
Yeah. Well, Mike told me a story on my show the other day, and he said, I think, paraphrasing, but he's like, I think Saban's got it, I said he had at least 5 years left in him 3 years ago, so I'm going to stick by that. And he goes, what's he going to do? He goes, he said, Mick, let me tell you this. One time he pulled me around on his boat wearing slacks. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, when you see a guy in khakis driving the boat.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's right. Like, what is he going to do? And then he's going to drive her crazy. So she's probably like, hey, she'll know when to pull him out.
Oh, yeah. He's not going to have a yard guy or any contractor show up to his house that's not going to hate him. He's going to be like just on their ass about how it should be done.
Yeah.
Coaching them up on how he wants the grass cut.
Can you imagine if he wasn't a great football coach, having him ride around with driving the boat with his slacks on? You know what I mean? Like, when you win some championships, everybody gets that. Otherwise,
well, then you can't question anything.
No. But we love them. Like, we get them.
Yeah. Did you see that clip? I don't even know. This just popped in my head, but when Reese Davis is talking about Lank, and he's like, Jalen Milroe now wears his own licensed apparel. Lank, let a naysayer know. And Pat McAfee's like, I did not expect that. He was like, I thought you were about to say something really bad. And Desmond Howard and all them were just dying laughing. They're like, oh, man, I thought we were going to have to walk off set.
That's so funny.
You got to look at that.
Yeah.
I've watched that over and over again and laughed so hard.
Oh man, I hope that McAfee comes back. Man.
I know, me too.
Big fan.
Me too. Well, it takes that takes the approach to game day. Kind of that Lee Corso. Lee Corso is the one who kind of kept it lively around there, right. Even though at his age, but Pat McAfee's the one who does that now.
Yeah. Yep. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us again. Comment section. Get in there and tell us what you think, and show ideas. Get those as well. But we appreciate all you guys that hang out with us on Elephant in the Room, Roll Tide Pods on YouTube, part of Disrupt the Media. And I want to remind you guys again that first off, we're presented by MyBookie. 110% price match on that initial deposit right now with the code next round. That is a great deal. It's for the next week, so take advantage of that. And look, this guy right here, Lance's lock, he got both of the winners leading into the national championship game. So he had Michigan and he had Washington, and he'll help you out as well. NBA, NFL, college basketball. He does it all. Lance's Lock and lanceslock.com. For Jake Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Great hanging out with you guys. Keep your heads up.